Hi and welcome back everyone. Today we're going to make this beautiful shadow box for a new baby. Stay tuned. We're going to start with a 12 by 12 shadow box. And for right now, we don't need the glass or the frame. We only need the back. And how I prepare my shadow boxes is I put my scrapbook paper directly on the backer board. This gives me a nice, heavy, sturdy piece to be able to work with. So I'm just going to line this up and lay it out, and then I'm going to just make sure it's down flat without any bubbles. Now I've picked out a few different items from my stash that we could use on here. Not sure what we're going to do yet. And I've got this cute letter A that we're going to use. I do need to paint it, and that is for Amy. And I'm just going to remove these staples here so that we can get it painted. Now before we go any farther, we do need to get this letter A painted. I'm using an old Cricut mat so that I don't get any paint on my glass mat. It does become apparent very quickly that it's going to take many coats of paint in order to get this letter covered. So in the end, I do decide to spray paint it. So now I'm going to try and figure out what my layout is going to be. I decide I want to use an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and I'm going to cut that down just a little bit. I do want to set everything off to the right. So I'm going to line this up, and I am going to use my T-square so that I do get it even top to bottom, and then make sure that it is also level across the bottom. I've pulled out some more baby scrapbook stickers from my stash because the first two that I had shown you are a little off color from what this background is. So I'm going to have to go through these and figure out what works the best. Some things have been too yellowy and a couple of things have been too peachy. Now here off to the side, I've decided to use some green and also some bright pink glitter paper. And I'm going to attach that off to the right. And I can already tell it needs to be adjusted. And once I can get that peeled up, I'll use my T-square again to make sure that I get it even at the top and even down the side. And that actually looks better. So I'm going to use this pink glitter paper. And I think what we're going to end up doing is putting the word Amy on this paper. And I think that's going to look really nice. So I'm going to check this out again and make sure everything looks okay. And now it's time to glue it onto the shadow box backing. And I'm going to use hot glue on this because I don't think regular glue or even my tape runner will hold it. Got a little bit of glue webs, little spider webs I gotta fix. Now I grabbed my stash of letters and I'm gonna look for Amy. And I think I wanted those in large letters. At first I was thinking I would put it on top of the letter A and changed my mind. I've done that in the past and it does look really cute, but I think I like this better. So now what I'm going to do is make sure I have these letters spaced properly. And then we'll get these glued down. Now these are stickers, but they're like puffy. And it was a little bit difficult getting that little backing off of there. Okay, now that we finally have the letters glued down to the glitter paper, we're gonna pull out some of our stickers and we're gonna try and just start placing a few things to figure out what works. And I've got a cute little banner, two of them actually. One says baby and the other says girl. And I really wanted to use them both, but in the end it just didn't work out. So I decided to just use baby, and I've strung it from one corner of the pink paper to the other. Then I grabbed my dimensional dots, I guess I'll call them, and this is going to just help raise up the paper. Now I have 4 different hearts that I cut out on my Cricut, and I also had the pens on the Cricut draw the words and the numbers. And we have got baby's birth date, we've got the time she was born, and we have her weight and her height. I usually use all 4 items on the baby Shadowbox because that's what everybody always asks when they hear of a new baby. Oh, what time, how big, and how long. So I like to have all those little stats on the Shadowbox. So now we're going to try and figure out where we want these, and sometimes this takes me forever, and believe me, I cut some of this out. And now I'm using my pin pen, and this is basically a pen that has a needle in the bottom of it, and it makes it very easy to weed out vinyl or pull up the little stickies from stickers. See how quickly that goes? So now I've decided where some of the stats are going to go, but I still haven't figured out where the birth date will go. So now let's figure out where the actual birth date is going to go. And in the end, I think it turned out really nice to just place it up on top near the word Amy. Now I thought those 4 hearts looked a little bit on the boring side, so I have a white marker. And I am going to make little stitch marks around the outside edge of the pink on those. And it goes really quickly, and it just gives it a little bit of detail. So now that that's finished, it's time to try and figure out what else we're going to be adding to the shadow box. Now I made this bow earlier and I knew I wanted to put it on here, and I think placement of that is perfect. So now that the bow is placed and fluffed up a little bit, I'm going to grab the stickers and I'm going to try and figure out where I want to place these. I don't want to do a whole lot because I have flowers that I've picked out that I'd really like to use as well. So what I'm using here are some leftover leaves from another project. And I liked the variegation in them. They're a light and a dark green at the same time. These are paper roses, and I found these a long time ago at Michael's craft store. And then I've got a little bit of white, I don't know what it is, baby's breath or something like that. I'm going to tuck that up underneath there, make it look very soft. And then I want to look down at the bottom. And I think what I'm going to do here is cut a couple of the leaves apart. And then I'm just going to simply put some of that little baby's breath with it. So we'll tuck that up underneath the A. Once that's glued down, make sure my leaves are facing up. Sometimes they twist. And then I'm going to add a little bit of that baby's breath, just a tiny bit. And it just gives everything a little bit more dimension, a little bit more detail. And I've got one more of those pink flowers left. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use it down in the bottom corner. But first it looks as though I need a little bit more here up on top. This is going to be more the focal point. So I'm going to glue those down, and I'll do the same as I did at the top, I think. Get a little bit more of that white. Place the rose and the baby's breath down there at the bottom. And we might be close to being finished. So now I'm going to look at these stickers and see what else I can find that would work really nicely on here. And I found a little oval sticker that said adorable. And of course I placed it a little bit crooked, so I'm going to fix that. And then we're going to pull off a couple of other little odds and ends here. I've got what looks like little baby safety pins. And I'm only going to use one. And then I found a little rattle. So we'll put that up there under the word baby. And I think we're finished here. I think this turned out beautiful. I did have to do a little bit of touching up on the letter A. As I sanded it, it looked as though I had a little bit of a bare spot up on the top of the letter A. So I did have to do a little bit of touch up on that later on. But I think everything else turned out nice. I like how the stitch marks looks on the stats. And just adding those little paper flowers just really softens it up and makes it really, really pretty. Well, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Amy's mom sure loved it. Stay tuned for more fun shadow boxes. Thanks for stopping in.